the struts part, we have seen something like tag library, how we can actually use tag libraries and all, right? So today we'll see things on struts. I mean, how exactly we can actually play around with the controller part, which is strut XML, right? So we have seen some multiple actions. If you can see here that we have created two different actions here in our struct controller, two different action controllers here. One is login 123 and profile, right? And we created some extension class. And in these two classes, which is action class and login profile, we had a common method called execute, right? And a common mapping parameters, which is username and password. Right? These were common in such. Now, so in this way, in a package, you can create any number of actions, right? And in struts tag, you can create any number of packages. So you can see. So today we'll start with creating a package here. So here, let me call it as some default one. Let's say, right? We already have default, right? So let me just call it as default one. Now every package should have an exclusive name, right? Two different packages should not have same name. Otherwise what happens is like whenever you want to call, sorry, you want to call any action, right? So it will first check with the namespace first. We'll be coming back to namespace also here, and then it will actually go to the some of the actions right now. So here let me just create some extents. So this time we are going to take some different namespace here. We'll see how we can actually use that. Here let's say I'm going to give same thing. So this will be struts default, right? And then the namespace part here. So namespace is nothing but, so whenever you actually run the application, right? So let me run this project and then we'll see. So save this up and run this. Okay, so let me copy this to one of the browser here. So here, now here you can see we have a project name which is my struts, or also the actual URL extension, right? And you can see that the initial default which we were using is the slash, and which means it's a default namespace. So because of that, so whenever you just say like ABC and let me just give one password login, right? You can see that everything went directly, right? So there is no internal directory, path being created in the URL path, right? So that is what is happening here, right? Now let's say here what we want is we want to separate few things, which means you want to create some subdirectories. So let me create a slash here and just say something called items, right? Now this is a namespace which I'm actually giving over here. Now in this package, let me create an action whose name is, let's say, let me just say name as Java something, and class, let me create a new class here, which is, let me open up this. Now here I'm going to create a new action class here, new, let me just call it as class here as CLS Java, and in here let me create a default method which is public string execute, right? And let's say this is going to return, let me just implement this with action, right? Return success. So in this, let's say here I'm going to handle the class here. So let me just give the complete package, right? Dot the class name, which is CLS Java. So this will actually complete the action with the name. The action name here is action controller is Java, which is in package called default one, and the namespace called slash item. So I'll show you where exactly you'll get this difference, right? And then you have a class being mapped. So let's say now I'm going to handle the result. Now in result, if name, which is, let's say if it is success, then let's say I want to go to some page. So the page I want to load is, let's say sample Java .jsp, let's say. So this is my page. I'll create this page anyways, right? Now let me create this sample.java here. Right? So here let me just call it as this is Java home something, right? Now here this is what we have created. We have created a simple execute method, right? What is important here is that, so let's see how the multiple packages, right, or how the namespace is going to work and how this action controller is being called from the calling page, right? Now let's go to the calling page here. Now this is my login.jsp. So let me create one more page called index.jsp. Let me just create a simple index.jsp page, and here I'm going to take up the normal form which we had, or what we can do, we can just copy the same form action, right? So let's go with that, and now you can see if you directly use this form action, right, it will just say unknown tag is, right, because you haven't defined your tag library, right? So in order to do that, let me just copy even the tag library of struts which we have already created, and let me just copy it. You can copy this anywhere you want, and this name, which is a strut tag prefix name, right, will be handled over here. Now here, so let's forget about all these things. Now let me just create one submit button. So in my form, I just have a simple button called go. So when I click on go, it will go to some action. Now here you have to define your action. Now let's see how we can actually define some action. So here in our previous cases, right, as namespace was default namespace, even if you don't give namespace here for default, that's fine. It will take up a default. And if you want to forcefully give some namespace, right, then what you have to do, you also should implement the same namespace with your action in your wherever you want to call from. Now here you can see my namespace is slash items. You have to first give that, and then you have to give your action controller, which is Java, right? Now this is how you should always give to you should always mention your action if you want to call. Now this slash is again, initial slash which you want. You can either actually call them, I mean make it a slash, or sometimes in latest versions of struts, right, you don't have to give sometimes. So let us run this and see how it works. Let me just rebuild the project. Now you can see that there are so many changes being done to your controller, right, which is an XML, right? So it's always better to restart your server so that it will be loaded afresh. Restart, and now let me go to the page. So here let me call it as index.jsp, right? Now this is a page. You can see there is a go button. Let me click on here. Now you can see here, now it gives project name, and then it gives items, and then Java. Now this is something where we have created some package, right? Now in the same way, you can have any big namespace you want based on the actions you want to create. Now as I said here, you can see that I created items, right? You can just say technology slash items, let's say, right, which is my namespace is technology items, and then I want all the action classes to be freed up, right? So let me just take this technology part also, and let me copy it here. Right now I've actually changed the complete action. Now I have maintained some directory path as such, and then I'm going to the action I want. Now let me run this, and let me just go back, refresh this page, and let me rename this go to Java. That's because we are going to some Java page, right? So let me just say go to Java, and rebuild the project and restart the server. I'm going to refresh this page. You can see it will, the button name will become go to Java. Right, now click on this. Now you can see here it says technology / items / Java. Right, in this way you can create. Now you would have seen this in some blogs, right? Now the blog URL, right, any blog if you can take up, right, now the URLs will be the same way, right, like items or some Java. So in Java blog, which page, and in that page what is the thread ID or so on, so right, in those cases you will be using these type of namespaces, right? And you can see in one action, right, in one package you can have any number of actions, I say. Now which means, let's say this action was for let's say simple Java, right? Now I'll create one more action, maybe let's say this is for .NET, where I want to have technology and items to be same but differentiate with some action here. So let me take some class here. So let me take the same class called com.sre.java, right? And then I'll just say, so here let me take a result named success, and here let's say I'm going to take .NET.jsp, which is I'm actually going to some other page called .NET.jsp. So let me just say welcome to .NET block something, right? Now you have two different JSPs you have. Now let me create one more form rather, right? Now why I have to create a different form? Because I'm going to I need a separate action to be called when I click on go to .NET, right? So that's why I'm going to create some new one here. Let me call it as a value as go to, let's say, .NET, right? And in form action I have to use a complete namespace which is technology till items, right? And then in this items, which means on this button click, or it can be anything, it can be a button click or it can be some, you know, some link click or anything. I want to go to, let's say, this action controller name called .NET. So let me go back and say .NET here, right? So let me rebuild the project and see how these two works, and restart the server here. So let's go back and refresh this page. Now you have go to Java and go to .NET, right? So when I click on go to Java, it will go to Java home, and you can see technology, items, and Java. Go back, if you can see go to .NET, click on this. Now you can see technology, items, and then .NET, and it says welcome to .NET blocks, right? Now this is how you can actually, now this is a very clean URL that you can actually give to anyone, right? Now basically whenever you deploy in real time, it won't be in this way, right? This local host and port won't be there. It will just say some abc.com, let's say, right? Now this will be the URL which you have. Now it won't be abc.com, I know that, but some blah blah.com and your name and so on. So this is how normally the URLs will actually work. Fine. Now this is how you can actually work with your packages. Now in this way you can extend any number of packages with exclusive default exclusive name and the namespace, right? So that it can actually differentiate. Now you can see if I want to call this action login123 using this namespace, it is not possible at all, right? It is not possible. If you want to call that, then you'll have to actually have this action class in this package. Then yes, this action controller will be called through this namespace, right? Now you can understand, I hope you have understood like what is exactly is the importance of creating a namespace, right? So that you can actually create different packages, right? And each package will be different for different actions. Now maybe name maybe describe this, so you can just say technology items, a simple name, let's say, right? Now which differentiate from this? This is a default, which is like startup, let's say, and then you are going for the multiple action controllers, right? So if you run this, it will run again the same. Go to server. Every time you change anything on controller, which is XML, right? Always try to restart your server. But normally it will be loaded by default, but don't take chance. So let me refresh this page. Let me click on go to .NET. Right? You can see everything works same as how it used to work. Right? It doesn't matter on this. Now this is how we can create multiple packages, right? And multiple actions inside the each package, right? In the Struts XML, which is called as a controller. So this is about how we can actually do multiple packaging and actions. Now, so let's say in this way, let's say we have many packages to be created and many actions to be created in these packages, right? Now normally if you do that in a single file, which is single XML file, right, then this will become a very huge configuration file, right? Now that is the reason why we have one concept called multiple config file creations. You can actually create multiple strut XMLs, right? But the controller XML will be only one, which means your struts.xml, the name of this raw file called struts.xml should be same. Even if you are actually creating multiple XMLs, you should collaborate those XMLs to your one of the main controller, which is struts.xml. Now in this way you can actually create a multiple XMLs, strut XMLs. Now let's create them and we'll see how it works, right? Now let me create a new strut XML first. New other, let's say it's a simple XML file. Let me call it as struts. Let me call it as struts underscore one. Let's say something, right? .xml, or rather, I'll just call it as struts one. Now you can see this is my completely different XML which I have, right? Now here in this XML2, you have to mention everything as we used to mention in our struts. Now this header will be default. Let me just copy up this, and then we will be creating something called struts tag here. Now in this struts tag again you can create a package. Now this will be same again. Now this name should be different from the packages which you are actually using. Now always habituate, habituate one thing that the name of a package should be indicator of all the actions you are actually creating in your package. Now let's say here in this package we are creating all the actions which are related to different technology items, right? So that's why I just gave a name as technology items as such, right? In that way you can mention some name, right? So here let's say I'm actually giving something called, let me just use same thing here, but here I'll just say tech something called tech something tech base, right, which is name, and then I'll be creating extents here, which is struts hyphen default will be the same, which is this will be common for all the packages, so that it'll actually get the default thing in there, right? And then you have, let's say, namespace, and namespace should also be different. Now let's say this time I'm going to take tech base, tech slash let's say I'm just going to take basis. Some namespace are given. Now in this, I'm going to create an action name. Let's say, let me call it as tech Java. This is my action name, and the class is going to be, let's say I'm going to take the same class called CLS Java, right? Dot, you have your class name called CLS Java here. Perfect. Now here what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a result whose name will be success, and let me use the same sample java.jsp. Right? Perfect. Now you can see here this struts1.xml is something which is being created as an exclusive strut, uh, you know, strut XML. But if you create an strut XML which is whose name is not strut.xml, right? Then this won't be considered as a starting point, or struts will never consult this. You have to actually collaborate the multiple configuration files with the main struts files. Unless you collaborate them, they will never work, right? So in order to collaborate them, what we have to do is we have to actually include this file called struts1.xml in your struts.xml. Now you have to do that in here as something called, you have something called include. Now you can see in struts tag, and out of all the packages we have something called include file. Now here you can give the name struts1.xml, right? So this will actually include your strut.xmls here. Now this will act as if you have defined all the packages in a same file. That is how it acts. This will actually take all the packages whatever you have defined, and it will virtually add all those packages to the same controller when it is during runtime. Now let's go ahead here, and let me just create one more form, and let's say, let me just call this package which is tech basis. So this is some different action I'm using now, and then here let me just say go to some tech basis item, some button name. Now I'm giving this button name is, this form is actually using an action which is defined in a separate configuration file which is other than the default struts.xml, right? Now let us see how it works. So let's see how, whether it is going to sample.java or not. So let me just run this project and restart the server once. Right?
Srinath,
Yeah, Manu.
you did not mention the tech Java action you did not call.
I am, oh sorry, yes, thank you. So yeah, you have to mention the controller name, right? Yes, tech Java. Thank you. Okay, fine, sure. Let me just restart again. Okay, perfect. So let me refresh the page. Let me click on go to tech base item. It gives tech basis, tech Java, everything is fine, and gives null pointer exception, right? So why we got null pointer exception, we'll just see. We have got tech basis and tech Java, so we are in this place, and then we have a CLS Java here, execute. So this will return success, and for that success we are actually going here. Now there is some problem with this. So is this correct? Yeah, it is correct. So in my start XML, I'm including that include first. So let me just remove this once. So let me just if I remove this, anyways, I know that it won't work at all. Let me just see whether I'm getting the same error. Refresh the page again. Now let me just click on this. Okay, anyways, we are getting the same null pointer exception. Okay, so let me just control that this. So the name is correct, struts1.xml. Okay, rather you may have to give something. Let me just check this first, which is struts1.xml. We gave struts. Package name is this, which is different from that. Namespace is correct and everything is done. Let me rebuild and restart the server. And let me just go back, refresh the page. Okay, default action proxy prepare. It will actually give null pointer when it is not reachable. So let me just give some slash here so that it will go to default path. Let me just restart the server. You can see the main problem was, you can see we just gave this /2, right? Now the namespace should be wherever you want to just end, right? You should end at that place itself. You should not give this. Okay. So let me just copy this package again. Go back to, okay, it is already there, right? Now let me just include this again, which is, let me just uncomment this. That's fine. So let me rebuild this and see what happens now. Now completely this package is defined in a separate XML file, right? So let me restart the server.
Srinath,
Yeah, Banu?
you did not remove the / in struts1.xml.
Yeah, this
Again,
one,
you
right?
can
Yeah, I'm going to remove this. Yeah, sure.
Not here in struts1.xml.
Okay, I didn't print it. Okay, now this is correct. Perfect. Starts default, take Java. Okay, everything is perfect. Now in this I've included this. Let me just rebuild this again. Yeah, it's fine. Thanks, Banu. So here you have tech basis and tech Java. Now tech basis and tech Java, here you can see it is being defined in a the the second configuration file, I can say, right? The other configuration file which is other than your start.xml, right? So let's check whether this works with slash, right? Slash over here. Let me just give clean and let me restart the server. So let's go back here, refresh, because it used to work in struts too. Let me just check this. Okay, it works. Fine. You can give either slash over here or not. The thing where we actually went, we just added something is whenever you are mentioning pack namespace, right? Don't give slash at the end of your namespace. Just end up with the name itself, right? Now this is how you can actually create your multiple configurations files. Now the same way you can actually create, now here in the same way you can create multiple packages or internally multiple action classes too, right? In same way you can create any number of XMLs again. So let's create one more XML file quickly, struts2.xml, let's say. Now here what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take up, let's copy the same, right? So let me just say tech base 1. I'll just append one over here, and let me just give tech Java itself or tech Java 1 this time. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy this, make it as tech Java 1 and make it as tech basis 1 item, something, right? The main catch here is that, so we have one mother XML which is main start XML which struts can understand, and we are creating multiple configuration files and collaborating all of them with the mother XML which is a mother controller, so that they can actually append it. All the packages which are defined in multiple configuration files will be appended to the mother struts.xml and will be exposed during execution, right? Now my struts2, I've defined a few things. I've made tech base 1 and I've changed something or tech basis 1, and here I've changed tech basis 1, let's say, and tech java 1, which is tech basis 1 and tech java 1, and the class and the return I'm actually using the same, and the sample java. Now this struts2, again you have to collaborate here. So until unless you do collaborate that, it won't work. So first let's see, if you forget to do that, what happens. So let's see that. So let me restart the server now. Now let's go back and refresh the page. Now this time you'll get go to tech basis 1 item. Yeah, let me click on this. Now you can see it will give same error, which means the resource is not there and it will give you null pointer exception, right? Now let's include that again. Include file name struts2.xml. Now once you add this, which means all the packages in this struts tag which you have defined will be virtually appended to the mother file called strut.xml during runtime. So let's run this. Restart the server here. Alright, so let me go back, refresh the page. Now click on this. Now you can see, right, tech basis 1, tech java 1. Right. So in this way you can actually create any number of XMLs, but make sure struts.xml should be only one. Normally what do we do is struts.xml keep always as a mother XML, and you can create multiple configuration files. The name will not be in this way, struts1, struts2, no. It will be like, based on your requirement. Let's say this configuration is to define all technologies. You can just say technologies config.xml, and struts2, one more XML you want is like for healthcare. You'll just say healthcare config.xml, and all those XMLs you just collaborate over here. You'll use this strut.xml only to collaborate sometimes, and during that time you may have some tens of XMLs you may have, because down the line it's a configuration which you have to maintain, right? Now that is the reason why you have all these things different, because if you have multiple configuration files, if you want to unplug anything, it's only one file you have to unplug and remove one entry from your strut.xml. You don't have to actually search one file for everything. Right. Now this is how you can actually create multiple configurations, and you can collaborate them using your include tag, include XML tag, and include those configuration files, so that all the packages whatever you define in those XML files will be added virtually during runtime to the same strut.xml, and struts.xml can understand. Right. Now this is how you can, and now you can see when I copy the same package, right, let me just go back and let me click on some go to .NET, right. Now you can see this is something which is a very plain, very good, we don't have any .jsp or any extension as such. It gives a very clear understanding that we are a technology item called .NET, right. So people can remember, if they actually know the mother URL as such, right. That's how the latest technology for web is going on, which is the main MVC pattern we are actually using, right. So whatever is seen on the URL is something which is a complete controller part you are able to see, and in that controller all the pages are internally rendered. Now you can see here as .NET, but you can see this page is something called .NET.jsp, right? Now in your controller, your page has been rendered, and you can copy the same URL to any browser you want. So let's go to the IE, right? You don't need you don't actually have to redirect it from some page itself. You can directly copy. So based on the page you have selected, you can see it will actually go directly. right? So this is how it works. I don't know what is happening here. Use multiple configuration files in your selection. So any questions in this, Stika and Banu? Now again, these two are these two and few concepts which we have discussed today are very important concepts which we have, and we'll be, if you are actually doing something on Struts, right, you'll be using these two on every daily basis in your programming. Definitely creating multiple actions, multiple packages, right, multiple namespaces, same package, in same package, in the same namespace you'll be creating multiple actions as such. So this is how it goes. So this is something which is called as multiple configurations one, and multiple packages and multiple actions with the multiple namespaces in Struts we have.